Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Always Aeon tournament. Maybe not quite, but nevertheless, we have two Aeon players in this round 2 match. I will pass it on to Spiff to let you know exactly which ones.
All right, well, we're going to start down here on the south side. Spawning in is the Teal Aeon commander, Always Aeon, Vanady, who has thrown down a quick air factory, and this was his map pick, by the way. His first pick of the round. And Nite, who's Vanity's opponent?
Vanity's opponent, who is getting scouted, she is the one and only unicorn in the rainbow paint stripe. She is Rainbows and Unicorns from Clan AA, opening up with a triple land factory, already getting Harvogs. A little bit of metagaming, maybe, Spiff?
Quite possibly. I expect this to be a very aggressive push here. Maybe up the center, maybe down to the south. But yeah, I'm expecting Rainbows to push out with this and try to get some damage done while she's got the advantage on the land.
Yeah, so far not the greatest. Well, obviously with a triple land factory, you're not going to get a whole lot of eco, but this is going to be rough for Rainbows if it keeps going into the mid and late games, because she won't be able to keep up with Vanity, who's already expanding into his back pocket. I think rightfully so here, to protect it from those bot flanks. Let's see if Rainbows has been practicing her bot splits, because that's going to be very, very important here. Shadja's already on the field.
Shotjas versus bots. I mean, Shotjas are pretty good defensive units because of their range, but bots usually can run right up on them and kind of negate their range because of their slow speed and the fact that they can't fire on the retreat.
Yeah, I mean, if microed properly, I think I agree with you. But in general, I think if Rainbows keeps engaging like she has there, Shadjas are actually pretty good, because bots don't have as much health as tanks, so they're obviously going to do much more damage. Look, one shot already puts it into red, allowing those planes to come in and finish it up with some splash. That's pretty good. And Rainbows is actually not engaging with those bots, so you're absolutely right. They could outrun the Shadjas, but if they keep engaging like that, it don't matter.
Well, I mean, they need to be in a bigger group is what it is. Present more targets, spread out a bit, actually, be able to do more than tickle the air with that AA.
Yeah, the first flank I quite liked. The second flank, I think, was a little ambitious.
Maybe too ambitious.
Yeah, she lost quite a bit of units there and didn't get a single point of damage, unfortunately.
Vanity is doubling down on these Shotjas, though, not building any other ground units at the moment.
Yeah, that might be a bit of mistakes. I think I do, in general, like tanks more in this situation. I mean, they just do so much better against bots in close combat, and they live longer than Shadjas. They move faster. So, yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't mind Shotjas only if Vanity was continuing air production, but he's turned his air factory off and now paused both of his land factories as well.
That's actually very true. Yeah, a little weird. A little weird.
We are seeing some tanks roll out now, which is that, if you're not going to keep building planes, then you need some tanks to screen for the Shotjas. Otherwise, the planes will zone. You can zone with the planes and kill with the Shotjas, but you need something to either soak up the damage or zones other stuff away.
We did see a radar snipe, but actually that radar snipe is one of the few that I would actually say is a bad trade for Vanity, because he lost a Weedaboff there, and that's pretty equal on in terms of research, and it doesn't give him a whole lot in terms of taking out vision. Yes, it limits vision for a little bit, but Rainbows can just rebuild it really quickly, and also you're not flanking, so you don't really need it. As a result, Vanity loses 2 planes, well, really 1 plane, but now he's lost his second one as well. And he hasn't gotten a whole lot other than the radar itself and a couple of research points, maybe.
Where is Vanity's mass going at the moment? Because he definitely has enough extractors to have another factory or two.
That is a good question. He hasn't
Well,
been
there's another
expanding
factory
a
coming
whole
up.
lot. I think his initial build maybe wasn't the most efficient. Um, he seemed to delay his energy generators, maybe. I'm not sure.
No,
He
no, they were
lost
they
one
were
of
about
those.
right.
He lost one
Can
of them, though, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, considering that he opened with just one air factory and scouted and then went from there, his energy wasn't late. He had plenty of bank from the start of the game that he could rely on before he produced too much stuff. Like
yeah,
he was okay there
I do think
with only one
he's
factory.
probably floating quite a bit. I mean, there's nothing that he's building right now that would strain his economy. I mean, Rainbows on a lower economy got more more factories out, so you know, I definitely agree. I think he's floating a little bit of mass, which is not the best of prospects against a player that's going mass land units.
Well, I mean, we did see Vanity expanding his eco a little bit, but he was able, I think, to build 2 mass extractors and a land factory all right around the same time. So there must have been at least a little bit of a bank there.
Yeah, and I mean, you could also save it as Aeon to kind of see what's going to be happening from your opponent. You know, he might want to save it to see if he wants to time his research a little early, or he needs to plop down a couple more land factories, maybe a couple more air factories, and he's just slowly expanding with engineers. That's also a nice plus. Once that second engineer gets to that mini expansion, that's going to obviously take up quite a bit of mass to build up all those extractors. So, you know, it's not the worst, especially considering that Rainbows is really not being aggressive off her 3 factory opening, which again is something I touch up on every now and then in my videos. But when you open up 3 factories, I mean, you have to do some damage, and I know she got shut down with those planes, with the early push out and the Shadjas. But I still think there's a little more room to be doing something right now with those very mobile Harvogs there. Shadja's also coming out for Rainbows, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to mention that too. So we've got basically Shotjas and bots versus Shotjas and tanks, and I think Shotjas and tanks wins that.
Yeah, and at the very least, I would switch to tanks here if you're not going to be pushing or utilizing your mobility, because at this point these are just sitting units, at which point tanks are just 10 times better.
Nice spread in the back though for that AA coverage.
Yeah, but how many planes are on the field? 7, 8? Does she not have air? Well, her radar coverage is, I guess, doesn't see the air production. Yeah, I would want to move up my ACU and build a radar somewhere up front so I can see exactly what my opponent is building. Because if she would have seen, I mean, she saw all this land, so she knows it's probably tanks or Shadjas.
Yeah, I mean, she can see most of the land factories at least on her radar, or at least these 2 in the front. Maybe not these 2 in the back, but and she can see the entire blob on her radar. So she knows where the mass has been going for the most part. But what she doesn't know is he still producing air, or the radar just won't reach that far, and he hasn't been showing the air. So for all she knows, for all Rainbows knows, Vanity could be building up a huge sniping air force in the back as a surprise.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the one benefit of Vanity not utilizing his resources the best of ways, is that kind of keeps her guessing if she is thinking in that line of direction, or that type of thinking is like, where the hell is his resources going? He only has 5 land factories. I have 7 off my mediocre start, which was designed to push out. I'm building my 8th land factory right now. What is he doing with all his mass? Well, the answer is he's going to start building a bunch of research generators, which I guess he doesn't have enough mass for, which I'm confused by. I guess the benefit of bots also is that they're cheaper to build, so maybe that's allowing her to expand a little more while still producing. Which, I mean, if we're thinking in that way, then yeah, of course bots are probably better because you want to expand and build units. And this is Rainbows is doing something cheeky over there that she loves to do, but unfortunately it's going to get shut down.
Yeah. That was caught on radar well ahead of being in position, so just not much Rainbows could do to save that. Okay, interesting formation here with the shotjas appearing to be on a separate hotkey from the bots.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I don't like them engaging in front of the bots, though. That's a little bit better here. And actually, interesting. Interesting decision by Vanady to engage outside of the shields. He might actually lose this fight. Not if Rainbows pushes her shotjas like that.
Yeah, what's going on there?
The whole point of having them on a different hotkey, Rainbows, is that they're so that you micro them behind. Oh no! And that's the power of tanks, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that's probably some nerves on Rainbow's parts as well, because that was a pretty huge micro mistake there. It looked like maybe she meant to pull back her shotjas and push forward her bots and got her hotkeys mixed up.
Maybe.
A little hard to tell, but there was a moment there where the bots were retreating.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was as good of an engagement as Rainbows could have gotten, but tanks are just so good.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, they did Vanady have shields on those units?
Yeah. Well, Rainbows just found herself in a tough position there, opening up 3 land against 1 air, and yeah, it's always rough if you're not able to push forward and get that damage done early against air. But it's a good effort, and she's going to have another chance to come back and get a win in game number 2.
Yeah, game number 2 is going to be on her map, Etch Desert, which is an air map, and I think it's a little more equal between these two players in air, so we're going to see how that goes in just a minute. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mellow stream, as it's officially what I've just decided this has become. We are back to game 2, round 2, between our 2 Aeon players here. Spiff, remind us who's playing.
All right, well, we'll start over here on the right-hand side. Spawning in as the blue Aeon commander, it is Rainbows and Unicorns dropping down 2 Quake Air Factories. Coming off that loss in game number 1, she's going to be looking for a comeback here in game number 2, which, as a reminder, is the last game of the round. It's a best of 2 series, and it all just goes into points at the end for determining the winner. Nite, who is Rainbow's opponent?
Her opponent is none other than the German machine with the name of Vanady, who is spawning down 2 air factories as well. And actually, Vanady is our last, or the winner of the last Serpents Open, which, if you guys don't remember, was back in March. Which was very surprised. I was very surprised. Not that Vanady is a bad player, quite the opposite. It's just, I believe it was his first tournament win, if I'm not mistaken. He's gotten to the finals of a big tournament before, but hasn't quite won one.
Well, and it doesn't look like Rainbows is quite going to get that scout off on the main base, but based on the number of planes, she probably has a pretty good guess at the build here.
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume that Vanady would open up double air. And honestly, I feel like Vanady is actually the player that opens up with double air on a lot of maps, so I think it's a pretty safe assumption. To be completely honest, Etch Desert is one of those maps where I feel like you can get away without scouting, as As wild as that sounds, I think it might actually work out for you. Because what's the worst that can happen? If you pull air, you can't really be surprised by a whole lot. Oh no, never mind. Let's remember the game that Osmos played in the season, or the the Serpents Open final last year. I don't remember who he was playing, but he didn't scout. And then the funny thing, he won that match, and then he played Alpha Hex in the final, and Alpha Hex did the same build against him that other dude did, and I think it was probably Hope. I don't remember. And Alpha Hex was so upset because he's like, now you scout on this map? So, do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I do. Well, I
Who was he
remember Alpha
playing?
Hex Assault at least.
Yeah. I think it was the last game of the final too. Um, he was like, now you scout. But yeah.
Well, Rainbows has kind of taken a page out of Iron's book here and moved her ACU to the expansion to start setting up. But it looks like, yep, Vanity is going to get a scout on that.
Yeah, and I mean, this can be good for her because obviously, if this was an engineer, would get taken out. So I don't know. I keep going back and forth between if I want that ACU kind of in the center, building air factories, or if I want it to down here, building expansion. I think actually, probably expansion is better. But then it's so decentralized now. You can't protect maybe a land push, but I guess you can't even do that there in the center either. So I don't know.
No, I think I like it. It's a good move early in the game because, yeah, like you said, it can't just be popped like an engineer, and it can build faster. So dropping an AA tower is actually maybe viable as a defense. So I like it. Now I wouldn't send the commander around to all these isolated mass points. I would always send the commander to the other spawn, where it's going to be. It's going to be covering several mass extractors at once. Okay, so it looks like Rainbows is going to move out and like get these closer ones to the spawn as well. Like basically anything that's within one AA tower range of the spawn, I would say it's fine to build that with the commander because it's faster. But anything outside of that, like sending the commander up to build, like these two all the way on the left, no, I wouldn't do that. And
So
obviously, it's map dependent.
we do see a little deviation from standard, and I think this is a mistake, an intentional mistake, I guess, from Rainbows. I would not see now. She even pauses land or air production. I would not keep both those engineers there. In fact, I wouldn't keep either one. Like Vanity is doing, expanding on this map is so much more important early game. We saw that with Iron, who I mean, frankly, he lost the air force early on, but he was able to stay in it because of this map. So, and I think that's been kind of the trend in a lot of matches. And if you don't keep up with economy, with production, you're going to fall back pretty significantly late game, and it's not going to matter if you get a couple of more planes because of your assists from the engineers. So Vanity's doing something weird too. He's putting down an air factory in the very dead center of the map. Kind of weird.
Well, maybe he's just thinking, in case of land switch, plug up the center.
Yeah, I mean that could be nice. The problem is that, especially where he built that land factory, I think you could reach that with MMLs from the ledge. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
And again, Rainbows is just falling so far behind with mass now. It's going to be pretty rough for her to win lane game unless she's planning to engage very, very soon with her air and try to win a quick war here. Which Vanity already has shields. She doesn't even have shields on her planes yet, but she might just be saving it just in case she needs to maybe pump into stars. But once shields come out, I feel like stars are not that relevant, and you want shields rather than stars. But nevertheless,
I don't know. Close call.
yeah, I mean, shields give you an extra, what, like 1,000 health? I forget what it is. And the stars give you 10% each or 5% each. Man, it's been...
But they also give damage. So
Yeah. So it's
always a trade-off, but
I think shields are a little better because also they go to flares eventually. Yep, and there's the engagement. No shields from rainbows, so she is going into stars, I'm guessing.
yeah.
Yeah, she has stars.
Yeah, stars.
She has at least
Definitely.
one additional star. Oh, and she's actually gonna win here?
Oh, it's close. But I think she's on top.
She's gonna win.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Looks like.
Well, now her air is just sitting there. Rainbows, micro your air. Alpha X didn't put out an air micro tutorial for nothing. I feel like she could have won this more decisively.
It's still pretty decisive.
You know, another cool thing that Vanady might have been thinking of here in the setup of these two air factories, which we're not going to quite see, is because there's ledges there, it kind of makes air engagements a little funky, and I think it increases the time that the planes have to move to turn around. So he might have wanted to utilize that in an effort to have a better air engagement.
I mean, we are seeing those factory TMLs engage with Rainbow's expansion on the Mesa, and I think that might have factored into the placement as well because, possibly he knew that Rainbow's would. This is her map pick, so and they are clanmates, so they probably practiced together, and he probably knows that she has a tendency to push up there. I haven't really seen this map played recently, so I don't know if that's something that's in the meta or if that's unique to Rainbows. But
I wouldn't say so because I feel like I've watched her play on this map, and usually she expands to the north as well. Maybe it's a tactical decision. Maybe for some reason she thought it's not worth sending an engineer up there just for a couple of mass points. But now again, she didn't have enough air to finish off the match. She didn't have enough to kill Vanady. And now she's going to start running into the same problem that Foxtremellin had because she can't really move her air across the map because her reinforcements or her mass extractors are going to get cut off the same way her or Vanity's mass extractors are getting cut off now. Overkill on the radar. Rainbows really hates her radars. Yeah, and I guess she just isn't even going to bother building her own mobile missile or tactical missiles on those factories. And Rainbows now has shields as well, in addition to her stars. So, it's something I've been noticing, and I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't played air a lot as before of recent, but I feel like the meta has kind of shifted towards getting stars rather than other air upgrades, even as Aeon, because I feel like stars are just so powerful. And I think you may be right. I think 2 stars may be better than shields. But now that the flares are out, it's going to be pretty rough. Bombing run coming in.
Hey, Nite, could I ask you to mute the chat from the stream just for a quick sidebar?
What do you mean mute it?
Just go to your OBS and well, I don't know, maybe you don't have it separated. Here, let me just I'm gonna send you a quick Discord message.
Okay.
This is just tournament administration stuff.
I see. Yeah. I would say he takes the win.
Okay.
Did Rainbows just manage to lose her air somehow, or is she just not producing enough now?
Yeah, it does look like, well, I don't know. It might just be that they're all so stacked up. It's always hard to tell exactly how many are there when you get to this point.
Yeah, I think she has less though. Let's do a quick air factory count. So 7 for Rainbows. What? 4? Oh, because he has a bunch in the middle. I was like, only 4 factories. No, Vanity has his 9th building. So does Rainbows. Oh, and Vanity managed to get a sag cap on one of Rainbows' mass extractors. I don't think she even noticed it.
That's dirty. There's another engineer coming in on the north as well, putting down a radar before moving in, though, or maybe not moving in. We'll see what it does.
Yeah, it looks like a radar there. And now Rainbows is expanding to the top, but the problem is that, you know, veterancy is so important.
I mean, there are a few mass points here that Vanity has left vacant, though. Vanity did get the Control K on that mass extractor before it was captured back by Rainbows.
That's nice. Rainbows, rebuild it. What are you doing?
Has a different one queued up.
Yeah, and now I'm liking the central position because it doesn't look like Rainbows cares about it. I feel like one land factory producing a couple of mobile missile launchers would tear that apart. But that's just me.
They'd be pretty vulnerable to bombing. Like, they'd have to get pretty close there. Right underneath the planes, basically.
Yeah, but again, the issue there is that they have to fly up to bomb, you know? And that takes some time, and if they retreat, that gives a wonderful engagement for Rainbows' planes.
Vanity does catch that engineer expanding to the north, so no more mass extractors up there for the time being for Rainbows.
Yeah, there's an engineer moving for Vanity. Man, this is like an AA special. They just like to send those engineers in and just be as annoying as possible. It's going to be a sack cap, successful one again. Vanity catches a few of Rainbows' planes, reinforcing there. Meanwhile, Rainbows is moving in on the center, going to go for the commander. I don't like that decision at all, but Vanity's engagement is all over the place.
That might work out, though. Vanity's already at half health.
Oh, damn. I thought he would have been fine underneath all those shields. Is she not bombing him anymore?
Nope, she is. They were all just coming in for another run, and there it is, I think. Yep.
Wow. All right, Rainbows. All right, I see you. I see what you're doing.
About that too. I was like, I wonder what would happen if one of these players just went into snipe.
I was about to say Rainbows' bane of existence has been failed snipe attempts, and that was more of a year ago. But I think she has perfected her snipes. So 1-1 between these two players. I think that's a good result for Rainbows. Vanity, I think, is one of her mentors, so he obviously is a great player as well. So great result, 1-1, and I think that keeps the tournament alive for both these players. We're going to go check in on a couple of other matches. We're going to see if we can bring you maybe a game 2 of something else. But we'll be back, if not, with round 3. Everybody, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. If you're still watching, give a thumbs up to this video. If you liked the video, leave a comment. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you are blown away by it, check out my Patreon page. This has been Nite. Take care and peace out.